Opening my eyes, I found myself back at 18. In the worn-out, yellowing classroom, someone was making a bet about me. I reckon 20 quid is enough to cop a feel of Becky Gill. Anyone want to try? They exchanged suggestive laughs, finally deciding, Luke, you go. Luke Walton replied, sure, why not? I laid my head on the desk, closing my eyes, waiting for Luke to approach me. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. Knock, knock, knock. Luke tapped on my desk. I pretended to have just been woken up and lifted my head. What is it? Do you have time after school? I need to talk to you about something, Luke said. I looked at him carefully. Luke maintained a composed demeanor, pretending to be casual while appearing unusually serious. I kept my expression neutral and replied, yes. Good, wait for me after school then. With that, he turned around smoothly and walked back to his seat. Suggestive giggles soon followed from behind. I didn't need to turn around to know what expressions they would be wearing. TCH. Bunch of idiots. I laid my head back down on the desk. I don't know what kind of joke fate was playing, making me relive my life at 18. 18. My stomach was growling, and I could only keep drinking water to stave off the hunger. During lunch break, while others were genuinely resting because they were tired, I had to lie down because of hunger. But I couldn't sleep. So I could hear the boys whispering. They talked about video games, comics, football, and girls, including me. Pretty but poor. Someone like that is always a target for bullying in any school. But since I was a girl, they had more vulgar thoughts. They bet 20 quid. And 10 years ago, I really did go to the small woods behind the school with Luke for 20 pounds. He paid, and I undid my clothes. Then click. Luke took a photo. The next day, the photo spread through the entire class group chat. After that, they called me 20 quid. After class, Luke was the first to leave the classroom as I picked up my backpack. Let's go, he said. I followed him silently. We walked out of the school grounds and headed towards the small woods behind the school. Luke kept glancing back at me, as if worried I might run away. I touched my empty stomach and called out, hey. Luke turned around. What's wrong? We're almost there. You're not thinking of leaving, are you? No, I said, but I'm hungry. Luke paused, then clicked his tongue. What do you want to do? I want to eat. Luke was impatient, not wanting to waste time, but he couldn't bear to say no. After weighing it for a few seconds, he nodded, fine, let's eat first. I ordered fish and chips. Luke paid for it. The fast food shop was shabby and greasy. Luke couldn't eat, so he sat with his arms crossed, watching me devour my food. Luke looked at me with disgust. Becky, were you starved in your past life? I ignored him completely. I couldn't remember what hunger felt like at 18. But I remembered Kaylee Grant's cruelty. That beautiful woman was like a virus, moving into our house with her daughter, and quickly infected my father. From then on, I became the poor little thing. Kaylee could calculate precisely how many calories one needed to stay alive, strictly controlling the money she gave me. Enough for a sandwich. Eating that for a day wouldn't kill you, but it was miserable. Hunger left me with no energy to study. I couldn't get into university, wouldn't take up family resources. This family would only support her daughter. I put down my fork contentedly. Done? Luke stood up. Then let's go. I suddenly grabbed his arm. Luke froze. His whole body seemed to have ripened, his arm burning hot as if it could roast someone. Ah, teenage hormones. So hot. Even hotter was Luke's gaze. Becky. He looked down at me, his voice hoarse. Do you need money? I smiled. What a rhetorical question. Of course I needed money. That's why he approached me, isn't it? Come with me to the woods, Luke said. I shook my head, my hand slowly climbing up his arm, my body following suit until we were face to face. Shall we go to a hotel? I whispered in his ear. In the dark, narrow alley, the word hotel glowed in the night. Luke gulped. As we entered the room, Luke's breathing grew heavier. He pushed me against the door, holding himself back. Understandable. At 18, inexperienced, he was aroused but hesitant to make a move. Shall we shower first? You or me? I asked. Luke snapped back to reality, giving me a suspicious look. Probably wondering why I seemed so experienced. You go first then, I said. Luke shot me a contemptuous glance and tossed his backpack into my arms. I'll be quick, he said. No rush, I replied. When the bathroom door closed, I opened Luke's backpack and took out the camera. Then I picked up the hotel phone and dialed a number. The woman sitting outside the beauty parlor downstairs was free. The number was written on the glass door. I never forget what I see. After dialing and giving the room number, I hung up and found his wallet. A thick wad of cash. Luke was from money. His father owned the largest shopping center in our town. His father spoiled him. That spoiling translated directly into cash. Luke had lots of money. But I only took half, the other half would be for services rendered. Soon, the doorbell rang. Luke had also finished his shower. He came out of the bathroom, surprised. Why are the lights off? No one answered. In the dim bedside light, there was a lumpy shape on the bed. Luke's breathing quickened, his voice trembling. He called out, Becky? He walked over, bending down. His bathrobe tied at the waist, revealing the lean back of a young man. I licked my teeth with interest. In the darkness, there was only his heavy breathing, then he pulled back the covers. Soft arms wrapped around his neck. Luke fell onto the bed, two bodies intertwined. Then I turned on the lights. Click. I captured the photo. Luke's eyes widened, completely stunned. The woman from the beauty parlor cursed at me. What's this? This wasn't what we agreed. I gestured for her to wait, then waved the camera at Luke with a smile. Luke snapped back to reality, furious. Becky! 1,000 pounds per photo, I tossed his wallet back. I've taken my share and left you enough to pay this lady. Then to the woman, I said, get your payment from him. With that, I picked up the backpack and turned to leave without hesitation. Luke jumped off the bed, trying to chase me. Stop! He shouted, Becky, stop right there. You bloody well played me. You hasn't paid me yet. Let go of me. Pay first. You're not leaving until you do. Like dogs fighting dogs. I slammed the door shut. Served him right. Life was hard when I was 18. I was too young. Young girls have no other means of survival, their body is their only capital. That deal with Luke cost me a week's worth of meals. But it also cost me my name. My half-naked body was permanently captured on the boys' phones. Every day there were notes in my desk, maliciously asking about my price. Is 20 pounds not enough? How about 30? What if we just look but don't touch? The girls kept their distance, deliberately holding their noses when passing by me, exchanging knowing glances with smirks on their faces. My life fell from hell to the deepest pit of hell. No one hit me, no one cursed at me. But in silence, I was whipped countless times. So I won't make the same mistake again. At 28, I can now play the game skillfully. Luke deserves it. I hummed a tune, happily heading home. 1,000 pounds will get me through the next 6 months. Then A-levels, and I'll be far away from here. Luke came very late the next day. He looked as deflated as a wilted flower. I heard what happened. His parents were called to school. The woman from the beauty parlor told me that Luke refused to pay. And it caused such a scene that the hotel staff, worried about the situation, found his student ID and called the school. The school then called his father. His father ended up paying for him. What a foolish boy, taking such a small setback so seriously. He could have just paid and been done with it. I pursed my lips. Luke caught my expression and glared at me as if he wanted to eat me alive. I turned away with a scoff. Luke's eyes flashed with anger. Someone looking for gossip went over to him. Hey Luke, how did it go yesterday? Did you succeed? Luke finally found an outlet for his anger. Succeed my arse. The person was taken aback. Luke, what's wrong with you? Get lost. He kicked the desk over in rage. The crash startled everyone. I didn't turn around. Just kept twirling my pen and casually marking important points in my new study guide. This was just a minor lesson. I didn't want to be called 20 quid anymore. Even though 10 years later, that nickname would have no power to hurt me. At 28, I would be as strong as steel, immune to any teenage drama. I would have smoothed over all the past hurts. But right now, I couldn't. At 18, Becky Gill cared. After class, Luke cornered me again. This time, I wasn't polite. I barely lifted my eyelids and said, "Move, or I'll call for help." "Go ahead." Luke sneered, "Becky Gill, you dare to set me up, I won't let this go." I tilted my head and smiled. "What are you going to do? Go back to the hotel?" Luke's face went through several interesting expressions. He opened his mouth, then closed it, and rudely spat out, "Slag." I pulled out the camera. Luke snapped angrily, "Give me back that camera." I asked, "Who's the slag?" Luke was so angry he couldn't speak, his chest heaving and face turning red. I found it rather amusing. Luke's skin wasn't thick enough. Otherwise, he should have worn this photo like a badge of his coming of age. There's no point in bullying the weak. I tossed the camera to him. "Here, take it." Luke caught it and immediately started fiddling with it, presumably deleting the photo. When he finished, he looked up and asked, "Did you make a backup?" "What do you think?" That was my leverage, of course I had backed it up. Luke gritted his teeth. "What do you want?" I beckoned him with my finger. Behind my 18-year-old facade was a 28-year-old soul, cold and harsh. I bared my fangs and spat out 2 words. "Piss off." I had no intention of getting involved with him. I had enough troubles. My stepmother and stepsister were stumbling blocks in my path. I needed to save my energy to deal with them. They had brought me down once. I wouldn't allow it to happen again. And Luke? He was just a minor character. I no longer wolfed down my dinner like I used to. Kaylee quickly noticed the change. Dinner used to be my only proper meal of the day, so I would eat as if my life depended on it. But now that I eat 3 meals a day, dinner doesn't feel so urgent anymore. Kaylee has grown suspicious. But she has no proof. She even secretly went through my school bag, my pillow, my bed. But found nothing. The £1,000 are safely hidden under Delia's bed. She'll never find them. Don't get too excited, Delia smiled. You can't hide it forever. Mom has ways to deal with you. She said with certainty, "Becky, we know you've been making money." I kept my head down, pretending to focus on my book, acting as if I couldn't hear her. Delia sat on her bed and warned me, "Why bother studying so hard? Even if you pass your exams, Mom won't let you continue anyway." I turned to look at her. Delia said, "Don't waste your energy." Her face wore that familiar look of subtle superiority, mocking how she could effortlessly crush my efforts no matter how hard I tried. I said, "This is my house." Delia was taken aback, clearly not expecting me to speak to her like that. But she didn't get angry. Instead, she quickly smiled, and then what? She said, "Becky, sooner or later, I'll have you thrown out." I stared at her coldly. "Want to test it?" Delia said, "See whose house this really is." As if to prove her point, the door opened from outside. My dad stood in the doorway. "I brought you both some late-night snacks," he said. "Sesame balls." "Delia, share it with Becky." "Thanks, Dad." Delia went over and took it, looking up at him. Dad ruffled her hair, then looked at me. "Still studying? Don't stay up too late." I said, "I know." After he closed the door, Delia took a bite of the sesame balls and asked, "Want some?" Without waiting for my answer, she smirked. "Oh right, I forgot. You're allergic to sesame." She looked utterly pleased with herself. I soon found out what Delia meant. On Monday morning, during the homeroom meeting with Mr. Stone, Kaylee burst into the classroom, demanding to know why I had stolen money from home, and what unspeakable things I had done with it. "Becky, you can't do bad things. If you need anything, Just tell me, and I'll buy it for you. But you can't steal, Kaylee said, deeply distressed. All eyes in the room turned to me. I kept my face cold. I didn't. I don't believe you. Kaylee started rummaging through my desk, sweeping everything onto the floor in a scattered mess. Fine, if you won't admit it, let me find it, and then we'll see what you have to say. I understood then. She thought I had hidden the money at school. But she found nothing. Mr. Stone finally came to his senses and grabbed her arm. Ms. Grant, let's discuss this in my office. We shouldn't disturb the class. Yes, let's go to the office. Becky, you come too. In the office. Kaylee was crying as if her heart would break. Mr. Stone, I wouldn't have come to school if I had any other choice. Becky is just so disobedient. What exactly happened? Mr. Stone asked. 500 pounds are missing from my purse, and only Becky has been in my room. Mr. Stone looked at me. Becky? I didn't take it. I'm not the only one in the house. Kaylee shouted, are you suggesting Delia? Becky, Delia is my daughter. I raised her, I know her character. She would never do such a thing. I sneered. Are you sure? My sneer enraged Kaylee. Venom flashed in her eyes as she said, Becky, I know you lost your mom early, and your dad's rarely home. I understand you lack love, but no matter how much you need money, you can't steal. What would your mom think? My expression changed instantly. She shouldn't have mentioned my mom. My mom was beautiful and kind. She wasn't worthy to even speak of her. I stood up straight. If my mom knew I was being falsely accused like this, she'd rise from her grave to fight you, you trollop. The office fell silent for a moment. Mr. Stone stared at me in shock, unable to believe that his usually well-behaved student would use such language. Kaylee exploded, trying to lunge at me. Calm down, Ms. Grant, please calm down. Mr. Stone restrained her, then turned to scold me, Becky, apologize. Like hell I would. Disgusting, I said. As chaos erupted in the office, I turned and left. Luke was leaning against the doorframe. I glanced at him as I passed, not stopping. Becky, Luke called out. The money for the study materials was from me, wasn't it? Why didn't you tell them? I turned back. Luke's eyes were full of pity. He felt sorry for me. But I didn't want his sympathy. None of your bloody business, I said. Luke's face went through a spectacular range of colors. When I got home that night, my bed was in complete disarray. Kaylee had given my bedding a wash. The wet blankets were piled up like a heap of mud. Delia gloated, that's what you get for insulting my mom, Becky. Your dad's away for the week, so who are you going to complain to? I completely ignored her. Even if my dad were home, I wouldn't complain. He doesn't believe me anyway. When I told him I wasn't getting enough to eat, he asked Kaylee, who explained she was doing it for my own good. Teenage girls find it hard to lose weight once they put it on. Becky's such a pretty girl, it would be a shame if she got fat. Look at Delia, I make sure she doesn't eat too much. My dad believed her. Then there was the matter of my period. I couldn't afford sanitary pads, so I had to use layers of toilet paper. The blood would still stain my trousers. I washed them every day. Kaylee asked with feigned confusion, does Becky have OCD? My dad was puzzled, what do you mean? My hands were soaked in soapy water as I looked at Kaylee. She was so confident, certain that I couldn't discuss my bodily needs with a man, even if he was my father. So I had to become the girl with OCD, picky, silent, growing more peculiar by the day. I was being torn apart piece by piece. And all I could do was endure it, save what little money I had. Bear the hunger to buy the sanitary pads I desperately needed. My period seemed to spite me, arriving punctually each month. Despite being malnourished, the flow was still heavy. How ironic. The next day at school, Mr. Stone came to find me. I thought he was going to scold me, but he just reminded me to study hard. Luke told me everything, that he lent you the money. He patted my shoulder. Just hang in there until the A-levels are over. I nodded and went back to the classroom. Luke's gaze followed me. I glanced at him once, then looked away expressionlessly. Luke's face instantly darkened. Luke, want to play video games after school? Get lost. Luke blocked my way after school. I was weary. What do you want? I cleared things up for you. I know. You should thank me. I said, mind your own business. I don't need his kindness. Becky, can't you speak nicely? Luke was frustrated. I shrugged, if you want me to be nice, buy me dinner. I wouldn't let my pride get in the way of a free meal. Luke asked, what about the money I gave you? It's being used. For what? I sneered, what are you to me? Unusually, Luke didn't get angry. He asked, was that woman your stepmother? Yes, and I have a stepsister. Luke paused, looked at me, then turned around, come on, I'll buy you dinner. I didn't hesitate. Besides fish and chips, I even ordered a Coke. Luke said, is that enough? You can order more if you want. Sipping my drink through the straw, I looked at Luke. For a moment, I had a wicked thought that perhaps I should set him up with Delia. After all, Luke was handsome and popular at school. Many people watched him play basketball, including Delia. In my previous life, I suffered terribly because of Luke. These two people deserved each other. But no. In this second chance at life, I don't want to be responsible for any wrongdoing. When Dad returned home, I finally had clean bedding again. That evening, the whole family went out for dinner. In the brightly lit restaurant. Dad brought out the gifts he'd brought back from his business trip. 3 pieces in total, 1 for each of us. Kaylee's was a necklace, while Delia and I got bracelets. Kaylee beamed with joy, thank you, darling. Delia sweetly said, thank you, Dad. I remained indifferent. Dad asked me, Becky, don't you like it? I replied, that's not it. Then why aren't you wearing it? I glanced at him. The man before me was so careless. He had never noticed that every gift he bought for me eventually ended up on Delia's wrist. He was blind to it all. I smiled wickedly, I prefer Delia's. Delia froze for a moment. Kaylee responded quickly, well then, Delia, why don't you swap with your sister? Delia snapped back to reality and smiled, of course. She took off her bracelet, helped me put it on, and said sweetly, Becky, I didn't know you liked this style. I raised my arm to admire it. A potential conflict dissolved quietly, and Dad laughed, his face full of satisfaction. Countless times. For that smile of his, I had backed down countless times. But this time, I wouldn't back down. I took off the bracelet and threw it into the steaming fish soup. I don't want something someone else has worn. It's dirty. The soup splashed all over Delia, who jumped up and started, Becky, you bit dash. Kaylee quickly covered her mouth. I laughed. Yes, they had to control themselves. The kind, well-behaved good student shouldn't curse. The sweet, generous stepmother couldn't curse either. Only Dad could get angry now. Dad's face darkened. Becky, what are you doing? Apologize to Delia. I said, no. Dad grew angry, stood up, and raised his hand. He wanted to slap me. But he hesitated. Kaylee began crying right on cue, it's my fault. I took your mother's place, so it's normal for you to hate me. But what has Delia done wrong? Delia cried too, Becky, please don't be angry. Dad finally steeled himself and swung his hand down, I said apologize. Slap. A loud crack. But it didn't land on my face. Dad froze. Delia gasped, Luke, what are you doing here? Luke stood in front of me, holding his cheek. After a moment of shock, I came to my senses and pushed him away. We're not family, so why are we even eating at the same table? How hypocritical. I turned and left. Luke followed behind me. He was like a shadow that wouldn't go away. Why are you following me? I asked. No reason, Luke replied. Then get lost. Luke's face turned pale, clearly humiliated. Of course, he was used to being treated like royalty. It was only with me that he faced any setbacks, and he couldn't handle it. Becky, he said, can't you speak nicely for once? I could. But why should I be nice to him? He had done something bad to me before. I had fallen into a living hell because of him. And in this life, he was planning to do it again. You think that because you cleared things up with Mr. Stone and took a slap for me, I should be grateful? I said coldly. Luke Walton, stop trying to bargain with me. He was delusional if he thought this belated act of kindness would earn my forgiveness. I walked away alone, but Luke's angry shout followed me. You did that on purpose. I turned around. Luke stared at me. Becky, you deliberately provoked your dad. What are you trying to do? I had to admit, he was clever. That's my business. I just want to help you. Luke started. Don't need it. Indeed, I didn't. My life belongs to me, and I'll help myself. I moved into the school dormitory. Because I refused to apologize to Kaylee and Delia. My father said I couldn't return home unless I apologized. In that case, I smiled, I'll move out. My father was stunned. I'll go live in the dormitory. Kaylee rushed out of her room. Becky, don't be rash. The A-levels are coming up soon. You won't get proper rest if you stay at school. Yes, the A-levels were approaching. She didn't dare let me leave. Moving out meant escaping her control, and she wanted to keep a tight grip on me. I'll stay if only one of us remains here, I said. Either me or Delia, Dad, you choose. My father was completely dumbfounded. Becky, you dash. Yes, how did I suddenly become so difficult? I turned to Kaylee. Let me move out, or I might strangle Delia in her sleep. Kaylee's eyes widened in horror. I must have seemed possessed. But if becoming a madwoman was the only way out, I didn't mind playing that role. Finally, my father relented. Fine, move out if that's what you want. I see you've grown too big for your boots. Let me tell you this, if you leave, you won't get a single penny from me. Think about it carefully. I glanced at him, letting out a small scoff. The 18-year-old Becky might have been threatened by this. But not me. I packed my belongings that very night. I won't make the same mistake twice. Leaving home was definitely the wisest choice. Even though life in the dormitory isn't pleasant. My roommates aren't in my class. They look down on me, isolate me, and seem to gossip about me both openly and behind my back. Though I don't know why, I don't care. With only 2 months left until A-levels, studying is all I can think about. For the final victory, my endurance is remarkable. Until my water bottle was thrown into the toilet again. I looked around and asked, who did this? Among the 3 people in the room, no one admitted it. Won't tell? I sneered, grabbed all 3 cups from the washstand, and stuffed them into the toilet. Now we can all share the filth. Lily screamed, Becky Gill, have you gone mad? Do it again, and I'll return the favor. I endure their petty actions just to keep life peaceful, not because I'm afraid. Lily's all bluster, only good at making a scene. The other 2, Mabel and Sybil, are quieter. Mabel said, it wasn't me. Sybil added, wasn't me either. Only Lily remained. She stuck her neck out, refusing to admit her fault. So what if I did it? Becky, we all know you're a thief. You lie and deliberately try to seduce Luke. I narrowed my eyes. Who told you that? Never mind who told me, we all know it anyway. Luke? I looked her up and down. Lily studies dance. What a coincidence, so does Delia. So, Delia told you. Lily froze for a moment, panic flashing across her face before she composed herself. Yes, Delia told me. So what? Are you saying it's not true? Whether it's true or not, why should I explain anything to her? I'll just deal with Delia directly. If she dares to slander me, I won't let it slide. In this world, I hate Delia more than anyone else. I hate her casual cruelty, her nonchalant evil. Behind closed doors in our shared room, she mocks me, belittles me, hurts me, and sneers at me without restraint. She directs all her malice towards me. But I won't take it anymore. The next day, I poured a bucket of red paint over Delia's head. "Dear sister," I said with delight, "welcome to looking like a drowned rat." Silence, nothing but silence. The classroom of 40 students seemed suddenly frozen in time. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, then came the screams. Delia covered her face and screamed hysterically. Her classmates gathered around, but no one dared to touch me. Bang! I threw the paint bucket on the floor and walked away. For the first time since my rebirth, I felt genuinely happy. Until I saw Luke. Luke, who just wouldn't leave me alone. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. "What do you know?" I sneered. Playing the good guy. He doesn't know what I've been through in the dormitory. He doesn't know what I've been through at home. I won't let this matter rest. As expected, Mr. Stone called me to his office. He asked me to write a reflection letter. "Aren't you going to call my parents?" I asked. "I called your father," Mr. Stone replied, "but your stepmother answered. She said she understood there was a misunderstanding and she doesn't blame you." "Becky," Mr. Stone said, "I think you might be prejudiced against them." I made a non-committal sound. How clever Kaylee was, trying to lure me back home. She wanted to rebuild her image in my eyes through this show of magnanimity. Trying to coax me back home. Once I'm back and the door is closed, she could destroy me again. I won't fall for it. "If that's all, I'll be going," I said. "I'm busy. As long as Delia doesn't bother me, I don't want to see her at all." With the A-levels countdown in full swing, I'm more nervous than anyone. I know Kaylee hasn't given up. She's plotting to make sure I fail my A-levels. She must have plenty of tricks up her sleeve. So I can't let my guard down. I need to stay vigilant, can't blink even for a moment. But Delia is only 18 after all. She's not that cunning. I embarrassed her, so now she wants to destroy me. I could feel someone watching me. On my way back to the dormitory after evening study, there was clearly a malicious gaze following me. I couldn't see who it was, but I knew someone was there. Moreover, Lily kept peering over to see what I was doing. I suspected she was monitoring me for someone else. I stopped walking back alone after evening study, choosing instead to return with the crowd. Luke must have noticed something because one day he said, "Becky, let me walk you back." I didn't refuse. As we walked silently towards the dormitory, Luke asked, "Which university do you want to go to?" "Any university would do," I replied. "As long as it's a university, it would be fine." Luke made a small sound of acknowledgement. "Is there anywhere specific you'd like to go?" "Anywhere but here would do. As long as I could leave this place, anywhere would be fine." Luke stopped walking. He faced me, his mouth opening and closing several times before finally saying, "Then, would you like to?" "No," I answered without hesitation. "You know the reason," I said, "so there's no need to ask me why." I didn't want to explain something he already knew. Luke was angry and stopped walking me back to my dormitory. And of course, it had to be a weekend night. The campus was eerily empty. After leaving the teaching building, I sensed something wasn't right and took out my craft knife. Suddenly, someone covered my mouth and nose. His hand was massive, I could barely breathe. "Keep quiet," he dragged me towards the nearby woods. His heavy breathing grew closer. And then I was thrown to the ground with his bulky body pinning me down. "So you're Becky Gill?" He grabbed my face, laughing. "Pretty cute, just as Delia said." I could only make muffled sounds. "What are you trying to say?" He removed his hand. I opened my mouth but no sound came out. "What did you say?" He leaned in closer. That's when I struck as soon as his face was close enough. I jabbed with my craft knife. "Die! Bloody hell!" He moved quickly, the blade only grazed his skin. But now he was furious. "You witch!" He slapped me hard. "I was going to be gentle with you, but now I see you're just asking for it." He started ripping at my clothes. I fought back violently, using my teeth and legs, struggling nonstop. Until he let out a grunt. Luke tackled him from behind. "Don't you dare hurt her." I coughed, clutching my throat. Luke was overpowered. The attacker had him pinned down. I grabbed a rock and smashed it into the attacker's shoulder. Arg! He screamed in pain. Luke seized the opportunity to push him off, then grabbed my hand. Run! I pulled away from his grip. Phone. What? Luke asked. Get your phone out. Call the police. What? Luke hesitated. If we call the police, you'll... I turned to look at him. Luke clenched his jaw and dialed the number. This night was destined to be eventful. At the police station, the boy confessed that someone had asked him to frighten me. Yes, just frighten. But I insisted it was bullying. The bruises on my body were evidence, and Luke was a witness. Soon, the school and parents were summoned, including Delia, who had instigated it all. She looked pitiful. It wasn't me. I never asked anyone to bully Becky. She's my sister, how could I possibly want someone to bully her? The boy protested. Delia, it was definitely you. Delia lowered her head. I know you like me. And maybe you wanted to help me get revenge, but I never asked you to. Kaylee spoke up. Delia and Becky are sisters. The girls had an argument before, and Delia might have complained to her classmates. Boys this age are impulsive, so perhaps. The boy cursed. You're lying. But clearly, he was no match for the Grant women, especially with my father's support. My father said, Officer, there must be a misunderstanding. Delia isn't that kind of child. She's a good girl. I let out a small scoff. Luke sat beside me. It's all right. I turned to look at him, and Luke's eyes were full of pity. But I wasn't going to cry. Because they were minors, the matter was settled through mediation, with my father forgiving the perpetrator on my behalf. Becky, I'm doing this for your own good. Making a big deal of this won't help you. A girl's reputation is very important. Yes, a girl's reputation is very important. But I wasn't sure if he cared more about my reputation or Delia's. Dad, I smiled, between me and Delia, choose one. My father remained silent. Since I started boarding school until today, have you ever visited me? Have you asked if I needed money? Have you paid my boarding fees? Do you know I've been going hungry every day? My father was shocked. What are you talking about? See? You know nothing. I spread my hands. So, you've already made your choice. At 28, I made peace with myself. I told myself I had everything I needed now, and I should forgive my father. So I returned to my hometown. I returned home. I thought that during my 10-year disappearance, he would have missed me. Thought about me, even if just a little, enough to make him look worn. But in reality, he hadn't. He and Kaylee were walking back from the market together, arm in arm, laughing and chatting like the most loving couple. I walked past them. My father, he didn't recognize me. He didn't recognize me. How ridiculous. So, I no longer expect anything from him. June, 1 week before A-levels. I moved out of the dormitory and found a nearby hotel, telling no one. But Luke somehow tracked me down. Why are you staying at a hotel? Aren't you a bit too curious about my life? I teased. Luke paused, looking away. Not really. I just feel sorry for you. If you feel sorry for me, then lend me another £1,000. He grudgingly pulled out his wallet and took out a stack of notes. Here. I held them tightly. We're even now, I thought. Last lifetime's £20 had made my 18-year-old self's life even more miserable. 10 years, 100-fold interest. Luke and I were even. I didn't hate him anymore. I didn't even hate my father anymore. As I walked out of the exam hall, the blazing sun and its lingering heat shone upon him and Kaylee. Kaylee was holding Delia, asking her questions patiently. He looked at me. I stood right in front of him. He opened his mouth, then finally said, "Let's go home." I asked, "Where is my home?" He pressed his lips together, showing slight displeasure, seemingly annoyed by my continued rebellion and immaturity. I just smiled. I turned and walked away. He would never understand that from this moment on. I had gained the future I wanted, and just like in my previous life, I would inevitably lose everything from my past. I found a summer job at a fast food restaurant. Luke kept coming to eat there. He asked me about my A-levels and which university I wanted to attend. I ignored him. The day the A-level results came out, Delia came to gloat. "I'm going abroad for holiday," Delia smiled. "My grades are good enough. I'll be studying dance in London." "How did you do, Becky?" "Take a guess," I said. Delia's face darkened, but she quickly recovered. "Even if you did well, can you earn enough for tuition working 2 months? Don't count on your dad. You know what he said, he's waiting for you to apologize. Otherwise, he won't give you a penny." "Oh, is that so?" I replied. "What a pity indeed. What are you so smug about?" Delia stood up. "I'll wait for you to come begging to my mom and me." "That won't happen. Never. I've applied to the university I want, in the city I love. True, I don't have money, but I have many ways to gather enough for the first year's tuition." Perhaps the 18-year-old Becky would have been helpless. But that's not who I am now. Delia will never see that day. And the apology my dad wants? That won't happen either. Because I'm leaving soon. The day I received my acceptance letter, I gave notice on my flat and bought a train ticket. While I was packing, Luke showed up after hearing the news. "You're leaving?" I nodded. "Why?" He looked anxious. "Why so suddenly?" "It's not sudden. I need to go early to earn money for tuition and living expenses. I might need to find a job." Luke couldn't understand. "You're really not going home?" How could he think this was just a game? "Luke," I said, "thank you for everything so far, but I hope we won't meet again." Luke couldn't believe it. He shouted behind me, "Why? Becky, have you no conscience? After all I've done to help you, aren't you grateful at all?" I turned to look at him. Luke must feel wronged, after all, he hadn't hurt me. But Luke, even without you, I would have survived. 10 years ago, just before the A-levels, Kaylee deliberately locked me in the bathroom. I called for help for a long time, but no one answered. Eventually, I broke the bathroom window and climbed out from the 3rd floor. The glass cut my fingers. And during the exam, bloodstains mixed with ink on my answer sheet. Unsurprisingly, I failed my A-levels. And I didn't get a second chance. That night, my father and Kaylee were discussing my future in the living room. My father said I was too young, while Kaylee suggested I should learn hairdressing as it was a promising career. Delia was eating watermelon in her room. "When you've learned how to do hair properly, I'll come to your salon," she said. I turned to look at her, watermelon juice staining her lips, making her look like an evil spirit. She wanted to devour me. Bit by bit, consume me completely. But I wouldn't accept that. Years of suppressed grievances exploded at that moment. I rushed at her, slapped her face, and gripped her throat tightly. Delia screamed. I was dragged away by my hair, while Kaylee hugged and comforted her. "Becky, have you gone mad?" my father shouted. Yes, I had gone mad. If I stayed any longer, I would completely lose my mind. So I had to run away. With just my ID and a few £100, I boarded a southbound train. I started as a dishwasher. In the cramped corridors of group-oriented leasing, there were always malicious stares. I would lock my door and barricade it with a wardrobe, keeping a kitchen knife under my pillow. I never dared to sleep deeply or fall ill. As if deliberately, the old man next door would turn his TV volume to maximum at night. The sounds of women's pleasure and men's heavy breathing, rising and falling. I lay there with open eyes, listening over and over. The cockroaches in the south were terrifyingly large, always crawling around the dirty, stained bathroom. I swore I wouldn't rot like them. Finally, when I'd saved enough money, I enrolled in an accounting course. Since childhood, I'd had a sharp intuition for numbers. I loved mathematics. No ambiguous words, just cold numbers where right and wrong had only one answer. I immersed myself in the world of numbers, greedily absorbing every formula. Hungry for more, as if I might suffocate without them. I couldn't stop. Then I passed my exams, left the group-oriented leasing, and found a proper job. The company was small with many illegal practices, but I was still grateful. I was thankful they gave me a chance. Even though I received the lowest salary, I didn't care. Without qualifications, I needed experience. I cherished every opportunity. I was still starving. But I didn't feel the suffering anymore. I studied, took exams, worked, keeping my head down, never daring to stop for a day. Finally, in the second year, I became the financial supervisor. In the third year, I moved to a larger company. In the fourth year, I earned my first £100,000. In the fifth year, I changed jobs again, got an opportunity to study abroad. And my salary increased from 100,000 to 300,000. Fifth year, sixth year, seventh year. In the 10th year, at last, I bought a house, a car, various jewelry, clothes, and designer bags. One afternoon, I ordered myself a cake and sat leisurely. The sweet cake stimulated my taste buds. I ate a lot, then quickly threw it all up in the bathroom. But I was extremely happy. I laughed while vomiting, then finally wiped my mouth clean and walked back home. So how could I possibly need anyone else's salvation? Thousands upon thousands of times, I had saved myself from the flames. After starting university, I found a job as a private tutor. The little girl was well behaved and had excellent grades. When her birthday came around, she invited me to join the celebration. I brought her a present. The room was packed with 17 and 18-year-old girls, all chatting and laughing, sharing their wishes and dreams for the future. I took a bite of cake and watched them quietly. It felt wonderful. The cake was sweet, and my stomach could handle it now without getting upset. University life was good too. I had reclaimed my lost youth and future, piece by piece. Even though I had already achieved conventional success. Still, I regretted everything that Becky at 18 had lost. On my way back to campus, Luke called. I answered. Across the vast Atlantic, it must have been noon there. I could hear the bustling noise in the background. Becky. Luke's voice came through. Happy birthday. International calls are expensive, I said. You're wasting money. Luke gritted his teeth. You bloody dash. I laughed. I never saw Luke again, in my previous life. But I hated him for an entire lifetime, cursing him to a miserable end. Though I knew my curses held no power. And he would surely live happily somewhere in the world. Yet I still hated him. But now, I'm willing to let go of that hatred. You know what, Luke? I said. In the future, I become a brilliant business executive. Luke scoffed. You're full of it. But then his voice softened. You will though. You'll make it, Becky. I hummed in agreement. I would make it. Past, present, and future, I would always succeed. I never went home again. Even after my second success, I didn't return. My dad called me, but I always had the same response. I'm busy, I need to earn money, I need to live. Finally, he snapped, shouting, Is money all you care about? Yes, I said through the phone. Money is all I care about, just like you're only calling because you want money from me. Dad went silent. Click. I hung up. Dad thought I didn't know, but I knew everything. I knew Delia had injured her spine during dance practice and couldn't walk anymore. Delia, confined to her wheelchair, had become the world's most bitter person. She hurt everyone around her indiscriminately. Dad and Kaylee had countless arguments, but I felt no sympathy. Those were the wife and daughter he chose. He should bear the consequences. We all have to pay for our life choices. So, this is what they should bear.